Stop before you do anything else, before you keep scrolling, before you move on to the next thing, before you close this thinking you already know what it's about. Stop. Because what you're about to hear isn't motivation. It's not advice. It's not content. It's the most honest regret someone can leave behind before dying. And it can be yours, if you want. My name is Daniel. I'm 92 years old. And if you're watching this, I'm probably not here anymore. I'm not saying that to impress you. I'm saying it so you understand I have no reason to lie to you. I don't want your like. I don't want your subscription. I don't want you to follow me. I want you, when this is over, to do one single thing differently. Just one. Because that one thing could be the difference between a life you actually lived and a life that just went by. I'm going to describe how you are right now. And if I get anything wrong, close this. But if I get it right, stay. Because what comes next matters to you. From the outside, your life looks fine. You have things, you have responsibilities, you have plans. But something doesn't quite add up. You don't know what to call it. It's like a low, steady pressure, like background noise that never stops, like the feeling that there's something important you're forgetting, but you can't remember what it is. And the strangest part is, there's no obvious cause. You're not in crisis, you're not broken, you're not missing anything major, but you're not really okay either. And there are days when you ask yourself, is this it? Is this what it's supposed to feel like? Is this the result of all these years of working, trying, doing the right thing? A feeling of emptiness with Wi-Fi. Listen, you're not doing badly. There's nothing broken in you. But there is something nobody ever explained to you, and I'm going to explain it today. That feeling has a name. It's called living on autopilot. And it's the quietest, most accepted, most invisible way to waste a whole life. You don't feel it as loss, you feel it as normal life. And that is exactly what makes it so dangerous. Because when something hurts, you react. But when something becomes normal, you adjust to it, and you keep going. And the days go by, and the years go by. And one day you wake up and you're 50 years old, and you're not really sure how you got here. That's not bad luck. That's the result of small decisions repeated over a long time. And right now, you are making those decisions. I was a teacher for 48 years. Math, public high school. Generation after generation. Thousands of students. Thousands of classes. Thousands of mornings. And I thought I was doing it right. I had a mission. I had purpose. I had structure. What I didn't have was presence. I went to work thinking about what I had to do when I got home. I came home thinking about what I had waiting for me the next day. I used the weekend to get ready for the week. I used vacations to recover from the year. And there was always something. There was always a valid reason not to fully be where I was. If you had asked me back then if I was happy, I would have said yes, because I believed it, or because I had never really stopped to ask myself honestly, which is the same thing. And there's something I want you to understand about this. I wasn't a bad man. I wasn't a bad father. I wasn't a bad husband. I wasn't a bad teacher. I was a good man who was completely absent. And that's the most tragic combination there is, because nobody calls you out on it. Everything looks right. But inside, there's a distance that keeps getting bigger every year. And when you finally want to cross it, it's already too late. I need to tell you something, and I want you to really hear it. Not like some sad story to consume, like something that belongs to you. 70 years ago, I had a student. Her name was Laura, 17 years old. She wasn't the brightest in terms of grades, but she was the most alive, the most awake, the only person in that classroom who seemed truly present in every moment. She asked questions that made me uncomfortable, not because they were hard to answer, but because they were hard to ignore. One Tuesday in February, she stayed after class. The classroom was empty. The chairs were still making that scraping sound as they moved. The afternoon light was coming through the big windows in the hallway, and there she was, standing there, looking at me. She said to me, "Teacher, what's the point of all this if later on we don't have any time to live?" I want you to read that again, because that wasn't a rebellious teenager's question. It was the clearest, smartest question anyone ever asked me in 80 years of life. And I answered perfectly, too perfectly. I talked to her about effort, about investing in the future, about how today's sacrifice builds tomorrow's life, about going through stages, about how order matters, about working first, living later. I told her everything you're supposed to say, everything that sounds reasonable, everything I used to tell myself so I wouldn't have to question anything. She listened to me, in silence, with a patience that I now understand was not respect, it was compassion. And when I finished, she looked at me and said, "I hope it's worth it." 2 days later, she died. Car accident. 17 years old. And this is where I need you to stop with me. Because this is the moment when a lot of people think, what a sad story, and keep watching. And that would be a mistake. Because Laura's story is not about her. It's about you. It's about what you do with the time she didn't have. It's about whether you are living in such a way that if somebody asked you right now, you could honestly say, "Yes, this is what I want to be doing. I am really here." I couldn't say that, but it took me 30 more years to understand it. That day I understood life is fragile, but I thought that was something that happened to other people. I kept living the same way, and that is exactly what you are doing right now. I know because I know that pattern. You hear things that hit you. They make you think. They even move you. And then you open another tab. There is a lie we all believe, not because we're naive, but because nobody taught us not to believe it. The lie is this: I have time. 2 words, the most dangerous words there are, because they're not completely false. You probably do have time, but not enough to waste today's. The problem is not that you might die tomorrow. The problem is that you are dying today, slowly, quietly, one small absence at a time. Let me tell you how a life gets lost, not through some huge disaster, not through a dramatic decision, not through one moment you can point to and say, "That's where everything went wrong." It gets lost like this. One day you don't call because you're tired. A week later you still don't call because too much time has passed and now it would feel awkward. A month later you don't even think about it anymore. A year later that person is part of a past you no longer know how to get back. It gets lost like this. Your son says, "Daddy, will you play with me?" And you say, "Not now, later." And later never comes, or it comes late, or it comes when he stopped asking, because he learned it isn't worth asking you anymore. It gets lost like this. You have an idea that excites you, but it's not the right time. There are other priorities. There will be a better time, and that better time never comes, and the idea cools off, and so do you. Small, invisible, repeated, for years, until you look back and don't recognize what you see. I lived it. I remember one day with my daughter. She was 8 years old. She had prepared a performance at school. She had told me about it weeks ahead of time. She had a small part, but to her it was everything. I had work. I had papers to grade. I had a meeting I couldn't move. And I told myself the same thing you've told yourself 1,000 times. There will be more chances. There weren't. Not that performance. Not that version of my 8-year-old daughter. Not that look on her face when she searched for me in the audience and didn't find me. That doesn't come back. None of those moments come back. And the worst part is not that I lost them. The worst part is that at the time, I didn't know I was losing them. Because life doesn't warn you. There is no alarm, no warning sign, no second chance with a label on it. One day, it's the last time something happens, and you're busy. I retired at 68, and it should have been the beginning of something. It's supposed to be the beginning of something. All that free time you've been waiting for decades. All that room to do whatever you want. All that silence, finally without obligations. But what nobody tells you about retirement is what happens when you sit down for the first time with nothing to do. Nothing urgent, nothing pending, no role to fill. And you realize you don't know how to just be. You don't know how to sit in silence without filling it. You don't know how to be with someone without having some useful topic to talk about. You don't know how to be with yourself without feeling uncomfortable. Because you've spent 40 years training yourself to produce, to solve, to move forward, to be needed. And all of a sudden, none of that matters. And you discover you don't know who you are when you're not being useful. That is the hardest moment. Not old age, not illness, not loneliness. The discovery that you don't know yourself. I opened drawers that first week. I was looking for I don't know what, and I found unopened letters, invitations I turned down, pictures of events I didn't go to, notes from people who left while waiting for me to come back. My life was there, stored away, waiting for me. But the people were gone. The moments were gone. All that remained were the records of what I didn't do. And in that moment I understood the full truth. I wasn't building a life. I was avoiding it. For decades I convinced myself that working was living, that being responsible was the same thing as being present, that putting things off until later was a form of caring, that I was waiting until I had more time, more money, more stability, and then I would finally start really living. But that then never came, or it came too late, or it came when the people I loved could no longer share it with me. And now I'm here, 92 years old, with time, with clarity, with absolute certainty about what matters. And what matters has nothing to do with what I thought mattered. I'm going to give you the answer, not as a metaphor, not as philosophy, not as some nice piece of advice you hang on a wall. I'm going to give it to you for what it is, an observation from someone who has reached the end and is looking back. At the end of a life, there are only two kinds of memories: the moments when you were truly present, and everything else. Everything else is dates, achievements, numbers, possessions, titles, things that can be measured, things that can be proven, things that can be shown. But the moments when you were truly there, those are the ones that make you feel it was worth it. A conversation with no rush, a meal without looking at your phone, a walk with no particular destination, a laugh you didn't expect, a look that lasted a little longer than necessary. Nothing spectacular, nothing to post, nothing to prove, just you, there, for real, with somebody who matters. That's it. That's all there is. And the problem is, you can't save those things for later. You can't say, next year I'll really show up. Next year I'll be present. You can only be present now, or not be. I chose not to be for too long, and I paid the price. Not all at once, drop by drop. In every moment I didn't live, in every person who drifted away, in every version of myself I never became. Now it's your turn, and I want to be very clear about this. I'm not asking you to change your life. I'm not asking for some grand gesture. I'm not asking you to quit your job, go on a trip, or do something radical. I'm asking you for one thing. One, do today something you've been putting off. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not when this is over. Today. Is there somebody you haven't called in a long time? Call them. Is there something you wanted to tell somebody and haven't said? Say it. Is there a plan you've been putting off because it's not the right time? Take one step toward it, just one, because the moment never just shows up on its own. You create the moment, or you don't. And if you don't create it today, maybe there won't be another today. I know that. I see it from where I am now with a clarity that doesn't do me any good anymore. But it can do some good for you, if you use it. The people who got to the end without regrets were not the people who achieved everything. They were not the people who worked the hardest. They were not the people who accumulated the most. They were the ones who showed up, the ones who stayed, the ones who were there, the ones who said yes when they could have said later. That's what I failed to be too many times, and that's what you can still be. So when this video ends, don't share it first. Don't write a comment first. Do what you already know you need to do. Do that first, then everything else. Because if this turns into just another video you watched and liked and forgot, then you will have proven exactly what it took me 70 years to understand, that it is much easier to consume ideas about living than it is to actually live. Don't be me. Be who you still have time to be. I'm tired. I already did what I could. Now it's your turn. Go live.